On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Detain.
To keep someone in official custody, to prevent them from leaving.
Examples:
Detain a terrorist. Detain for investigation. The police detained the suspect for questioning.
Suspicious.
Making you feel that someone has done something wrong, illegal, or dishonest without any evidence.
Examples:
Report suspicious activity. A person who is suspicious. We carefully examine each suspicious transaction report we receive.
Detention.
The act of holding someone in custody, especially as a punishment for a crime they are suspected of having committed.
Examples:
Detention center. Immigration detention. The government is criticized for the prolonged detention of political activists without trial.
Frightening.
Causing fear or alarm, or very surprising and alarming.
Examples:
Cast frightening eyes. Frightening experience. The news of the pandemic was a frightening reminder of the fragility of human health.
Calm.
Not excited, angry, or nervous, free from wind, large waves.
Examples:
Calm sea. Calm manner. It was the first time in a long time that I felt truly calm and at peace.
Intern.
To put someone in prison, especially for political or military reasons. Noun, a student or trainee who works, sometimes for free, to get work experience or to fulfill qualification criteria.
Examples:
Intern civilians. Medical intern. The Navy interned ships of defeated nations.
Defend.
To protect someone or something from attack, criticism, danger, etc.
Examples:
Defend my country. Defend against a threat. International law allows each nation to defend itself when its rights and interests are illegally violated.
Backpack.
A bag or pack that is worn on the back, often used for carrying books, equipment, or supplies.
Assault.
A violent physical attack, the crime of forcing someone to submit to sexual intercourse against their will.
Examples:
Assault aircraft. Victim of sexual assault. We got caught up in an assault case.
Rifle.
A long-barreled firearm designed to be fired from the shoulder, typically with a rifled bore for accuracy.
Examples:
Rifle barrel. Hunting rifle. The police discovered a rifle case in the suspect's car during their investigation.
Pat.
To touch or tap something lightly and usually in a friendly or encouraging manner. To apply or rub lightly and repetitively.
Examples:
Pat on the back. Pat a dog. She patted the puppy on the head and gave it a treat.
Ignore.
To intentionally not listen or pay attention to.
Examples:
Ignore her advice. Ignore a ban. Since independence, the area has been completely ignored.
Stick.
To put something, usually a sharp object, into something, noun, a thin piece of wood or other material.
Examples:
Stick a key in a lock. Fire stick. You stick a bill in the change machine, and the coins pop out.
Odd.
Strange or unexpected, not divisible by two.
Examples:
In an odd way. Odd behavior. His grandfather was an odd man.
Government.
The group of people with authority to control a country or state.
Examples:
Government bureaucracy. Government funding. The federal government is planning to increase taxes for the next fiscal year.
Lurk.
To wait somewhere secretly, especially because you are about to attack someone or do something bad or illegal.
Examples:
Lurked behind the words. Lurk in the darkness. In the city, the risk of traffic accidents lurks at every corner.
Nefarious.
Extremely wicked or criminal, evil or immoral, often used to describe someone engaged in sinister or unlawful activities.
Examples:
Nefarious intentions. Nefarious activities. The undercover investigator exposed the nefarious plan before any harm could be done.
Drag.
To pull or haul with force.
Examples:
Drag a chair over. Drag a team down. He dragged the heavy suitcase behind him as he walked.
Sweep.
To clean something, especially a floor or an area, by using a broom, move swiftly and smoothly.
Examples:
Sweep up dead leaves. Sweep a room with a glance. The politician tried to sweep the embarrassing incident under the rug.
Detective.
A person whose job it is to find out information about crimes and find out who did them.
Examples:
Detective work. Detective movie. The detective diligently pursued his cases.
Examine.
To study or consider a person or object attentively and thoroughly to learn something about them.
Examples:
Examine the data studiously. Examine the issue. Initially, we must examine all project-related expenses.
Claim.
To assert that something is true, to demand or request something as one's own, to lay legal or moral right to something. Noun, a demand or assertion of a right or something that one believes to be true.
Examples:
Claim responsibility. False claim. He wants to claim ownership of the abandoned property.
Consent.
Permission or agreement to do something, especially given by somebody in authority.
Examples:
Consent for surgery. Give silent consent. She gave her consent to the company's proposal.
Scan.
To examine something hastily, with the eyes or with a machine, to get information.
Examples:
Scan the face of a man. Scan a document into PDF. She stood on the podium and scanned an audience.
Sink.
To submerge or go down below the surface of a liquid or substance, to decline or deteriorate, to cause something to go down into a liquid substance or sink into something else.
Examples:
Sink a lot of capital. Sink a buzzer beater. The abandoned ship slowly began to sink into the murky waters of the harbor.
Norm.
Something that is regarded as usual, typical, or standard.
Examples:
Norm of action. Cultural norm. The systems we have developed has accepted as industry norms.
Arrest.
To take into custody.
Examples:
Arrest the thief. Arrest the progress. A police officer has the authority to arrest a criminal.
Handcuff.
A pair of metal restraints that are designed to lock around a person's wrists and prevent them from moving their hands freely. Verb, to restrain or restrict the movement of a person by applying handcuffs, typically as part of an arrest or other security-related process.
Examples:
Handcuff his wrists. Break free from handcuffs. The police officer put handcuffs on the suspect before placing them in the squad car.
Demean.
To lower or damage someone's dignity, honor, or reputation. To treat someone disrespectfully, often in a way that makes them feel inferior or humiliated.
Examples:
Demean the value. Demean the reputation. You shouldn't demean yourself by taking on tasks beneath your skill level.
Coercive.
Using force, threats, or intimidation to compel someone to do something against their will or desire, related to coercion.
Examples:
Coercive behavior. Use coercive measures. The politician used coercive tactics to convince the public to support their policies.
Seize.
To catch or take hold of someone or something suddenly and forcibly, to capture the attention or imagination of something.
Examples:
Seize a person's property. Seize the day. He has the superpower to seize a business opportunity.
Affluent.
Rich and wealthy, having a lot of money and material wealth.
Examples:
Affluent society. Live in affluent circumstances. She lived in an affluent neighborhood surrounded by wealth and luxury.
Investigate.
To conduct a systematic or formal inquiry to identify and evaluate the facts of a crime, problem, statement, etc., to establish the truth.
Examples:
Investigate the matter. Investigate a data leak. The committee investigated several apparent inconsistencies.
Possibility.
A chance that something may happen or be true.
Examples:
Possibility for growth. Possibility of a major earthquake. The possibility of getting the disease will drastically increase.
Jail.
A facility where criminals are kept to be punished for their crimes, a prison.
Examples:
County jail. Be in jail. The police escorted the prisoner to the jail.
Communal.
Belonging to or used by a group rather than individuals, for common use.
Examples:
Communal swimming pool. Communal combination of funds. Communal elections were held in several European countries.
Endanger.
To put someone or something in a risky situation.
Examples:
Endanger my health. Endanger a close relationship. Their actions endangered the lives of innocent people.
Suspect.
To consider anything to be true or probable.
Examples:
Suspect a plot. Suspect that he is sick. The cops suspected him of being the killer.
Justice.
The quality of being fair and reasonable and treating people equally according to their due.
Examples:
Criminal justice. Justice of heaven. The judge's ruling was based on the principles of justice and fairness.
Annoying.
Making someone feel slightly angry.
Examples:
Annoying banner ad. Annoying habit. The phone call is an annoying interruption.
Afford.
To have enough money or time to be able to buy or do something.
Examples:
Afford to buy a new car. Afford a high travel cost. He cannot afford a holiday.
Suppose.
To think that something is likely to be actual or possible.
Examples:
Suppose you're right. Suppose beforehand. What do you suppose the culprit's motive was?
Illegal.
Not allowed by law.
Examples:
Illegal drugs. Child of illegal immigrants. The customs agents seized the illegal shipment.
Lawsuit.
A legal action taken by one party against another in a court of law, typically seeking damages or some other form of remedy for perceived wrongs or harms suffered.
Examples:
Lawsuit settlement. File a lawsuit. The company is facing a lawsuit for its alleged discrimination against employees.
Modern.
Of or belonging to the present time or recent times.
Examples:
Modern poetry. Pre-modern agricultural society. Their headquarters are in a modern skyscraper.
Debtor.
A person or entity that owes money or is in debt to another party, someone who is obligated to fulfill a financial obligation.
Examples:
Defaulting debtor. Personal debtor. The debtor's credit score suffered due to missed payments.
Violent.
Involving or caused by physical force or aggression against someone or something.
Examples:
Victim of a violent crime. Violent incident. The protesters became violent when the police tried to disperse them.
Aspect.
One part or feature of a situation, problem, subject, etc.
Examples:
Non-technical aspects of the job. Aspects of social, political, and economic life. His professional experience includes all aspects of media production.
Relation.
The way two persons or groups of people feel and act toward one another.
Examples:
Relation between cause and effect. Relation of inclusion. The industrial relations laws were passed with little to no alteration.
Unpaid.
Not yet paid, without payment.
Examples:
Unpaid account. Unpaid leave. Some employees claimed they were simply unpaid.
Debt.
Something, especially money, goods, or services owed by one person to another, the state of owing something.
Examples:
Debt ceiling. He became in debt after losing his job.
License.
An official permission or authorization to do, use, or own something, a legal document that grants the holder the right to perform certain activities, such as driving a car, practicing a profession, or using a particular product or service.
Examples:
License renewal, software license. Before driving, ensure you have a valid driver's license.
Bunk.
A piece of furniture that provides a place to sleep, typically a narrow bed frame supported by a solid structure. Nonsense or untruthful talk, often intended to deceive or mislead, a type of overnight accommodation, particularly in a military or institutional setting.
Examples:
Bunch of bunk, military bunk. The crowded dorm room had bunk beds to accommodate all the students.
Toilet.
A bowl-shaped plumbing fixture with a seat for defecation and urination, or a room or building containing one or more of this fixture.
Examples:
Toilet paper, toilet seat. She walked to the toilet to freshen up before the meeting.
Nowhere.
Not in, at, or to any place, not anywhere.
Examples:
Nowhere else to go. Come out of nowhere. I've been thinking all day and getting nowhere.
Filthy.
Dirty or unclean, often to an extreme or offensive degree, morally offensive or obscene.
Examples:
Filthy streets, filthy language. The hotel room was filthy with dirty sheets and stained carpets.
Mucus.
A slimy liquid produced inside the nose and other body parts for lubrication, protection, etc.
Examples:
Airway mucus, nasal mucus. When the body temperature drops, mucus secretion fails.
Spigot.
A valve or faucet used to control the flow of liquid from a container or pipe.
Examples:
Shut off the spigot. Open the spigot. The spigot on the outdoor faucet was leaking and needed to be fixed.
Menstruate.
To have or experience the process in a woman's menstrual cycle during which blood and other materials are discharged from the uterus.
Examples:
Menstruate regularly. Failure to menstruate. The teenage girl began to menstruate last month.
Hygiene.
The practice of maintaining cleanliness in the home and person to prevent illness.
Examples:
Hygiene practices. Public hygiene. Good hygiene is important for preventing the spread of illness.
Medical.
Relating to the treatment of illness or injuries, relating to the practice of medicine.
Examples:
A medical opinion. Temporary medical treatment. The medical team worked quickly to save the patient's life.
Whatsoever.
Not at all, no matter what.
Examples:
Whatsoever it be. Without impact whatsoever. He refused to do anything whatsoever to help her.
Haggle.
To negotiate a deal or price by bargaining in a persistent and often argumentative way. To argue or dispute over a price or other terms of a transaction.
Examples:
Haggle over the price. Haggle at the flea market. I could haggle with the vendor and lower the item's price.
Release.
To set free or allow to escape from confinement.
Examples:
Release a prisoner. Release CO2 into the air. The animal rights group worked to release the dolphins back into the wild.
Unlikely.
Not probable or likely to happen.
Examples:
Unlikely event. It is unlikely that he would win the game. The passage of the bill is unlikely.
Panhandle.
To ask for money or donations on the street by holding out a container or sign. To beg for money or support. Noun, a narrow strip of land projecting from a larger territory, typically with a shape resembling the handle of a pan.
Examples:
Panhandle for food. The Texas Panhandle. I must panhandle for money if I can't find a job soon.
Fee.
A sum of money charged for a particular service.
Examples:
Fee calculation. Service fee. The lawyer's fee for the case was $10,000.
Survive.
To live or exist despite a dangerous event or period.
Examples:
Survive a blizzard. Survive a plane crash. These birds can only survive in temperate climates.
Damage.
To harm or cause injury to something or someone, often resulting in decreased value or functionality. To impair or negatively affect something, such as a reputation or relationship. Noun, harm or injury that is caused to a person, thing, or entity.
Examples:
Damage a relationship. Damage assessment. During the surgery, the doctor had to be extremely cautious not to damage a blood vessel.
Brain.
The organ inside the head that is responsible for one's movement, thought, memory, and feeling.
Examples:
Basic brain function. Permanent brain damage. X-rays revealed a small tumor in his brain.
Rely.
To require a certain thing or the assistance and support of someone or something in order to continue, run properly, or succeed.
Examples:
Rely on convenience stores. Rely entirely on him. Babies heavily rely on others for food.
Fridge.
A piece of electrical equipment in which food can be stored at low temperatures so that it stays fresh.
Examples:
Fridge magnet. Fill the fridge. She left the fridge door open inadvertently.
Chronic.
Being long-lasting and recurrent or characterized by long suffering, habitual.
Examples:
Risk of chronic disease. Chronic alcohol consumption. Chronic hyperglycemia is a trigger for a variety of serious diseases.
Cardboard.
A stiff, thick material made from compressed paper pulp used to make boxes and other packaging materials.
Examples:
Cardboard box. Cardboard cutout. I made a cardboard box to store my winter clothes in.
Cherish.
To hold someone or something dear, to feel or show affection for someone or something.
Examples:
Cherish a stuffed animal. Cherish relationships. She cherished the memories of her childhood.
Stretch.
To make or be capable of making anything longer or broader without hurting or breaking.
Examples:
Stretch along the coast. Stretch a story. Some herds have been observed to stretch hundreds of kilometers.
Suicide.
The act of killing yourself intentionally.
Examples:
Commit suicide. Suicide attack. In an economically prosperous country, most male suicide is due to child support problems.
Attempt.
An act or effort of trying to do something, especially something difficult.
Examples:
The attempt to rescue the hostages. A reckless attempt. The third attempt was far more successful.
Inmate.
A person who is confined to an institution, such as a prison, hospital, or mental health facility.
Examples:
Inmate population. Inmate rights. The prison implemented a new educational program for inmates to learn skills and prepare for life after release.
Yell.
To shout in a sudden and loud way.
Examples:
Yell for help. Yell as loud as we can. When I asked my father for more money, he became furious and yelled at me.
Unconscious.
In the state of lacking awareness and the capacity for sensory perception, especially as the result of a head injury or illness.
Examples:
unconscious bias. A person who is unconscious. I know his unconscious habit that he touches his face when he lies.
Paramedic.
A healthcare professional who is trained to provide emergency medical care to patients in the pre-hospital setting, often in ambulances or other emergency vehicles.
Examples:
paramedic ambulance, emergency paramedic. The paramedic team worked together efficiently to stabilize the patient's vital signs.
Relate.
To establish a connection or association between two or more things, to narrate or tell about an event, experience, or relationship, to empathize or feel sympathy with someone or something.
Examples:
relate a story, relate a message. He tried to relate his experience to the group, but they couldn't understand. Traffic. The movement of vehicles, people, or goods along a route or through a transport system. The amount of such movement in a particular place or at a particular time.
Examples:
traffic jam, heavy traffic. We decided to take a detour to avoid the construction traffic on the main road.
Theft.
The act of taking anything from someone or somewhere unlawfully, stealing.
Examples:
victim of identity theft, theft of designs. Poverty is not a reproach, however, theft is. Schizophrenia. A severe mental disorder in which a person has a distorted view of reality and may experience hallucinations, delusions, and disordered thinking and behavior.
Examples:
schizophrenia spectrum disorder, schizophrenia treatment. The schizophrenia patient was experiencing severe auditory hallucinations. Bipolar. Of, relating to, or occurring in both polar regions, of or relating to manic depressive illness.
Examples:
bipolar depression, a bipolar semiconductor. The physician prescribed medication to treat bipolar disorder. Disorder. An untidy state or a lack of organization, a physical condition or illness that causes problems with how a section of the body or brain functions.
Examples:
the files are in complete disorder. People with bipolar disorder. The doctor prescribed some medicine for the mental disorder. Medication. A drug or other form of medicine that treats, prevents, or alleviates the symptoms of the disease. Examples: antibiotic medication, medication by mouth. The pharmacist not only prescribes the medication but also guides its proper use. Cage. A structure made of metal bars or wire in which birds or animals can be kept. Examples: An insect cage. A bird in a cage. The trapped bear is running amok in its cage.
Hallucinate.
To experience a seemingly real perception of something that does not actually exist, usually as a result of a mental illness or drug use.
Examples:
Start to hallucinate. Hallucinate with drug. Sleep-deprived people gradually lose their concentration and may hallucinate.
Shadow.
A dark area or shape cast by an object blocking the passage of light, an area in darkness or shade, a reflected image or copy of something, a person, activity, or influence that follows or accompanies someone or something closely and persistently, often in a secretive or ominous manner.
Examples:
Shadow cast. Shadow puppetry. The tree cast a shadow over the picnic area, providing relief from the sun.
Beg.
To ask for something urgently or earnestly, to appeal to someone to do something.
Examples:
Beg the question. Beg for help. She begged her parents to let her go to the concert.
Anomalous.
Deviating from what is standard or expected, unexpected or unusual in a way that is difficult to explain.
Examples:
Anomalous behavior. Anomalous result. The data from the study was anomalous and unexpected.
Grotesque.
Bizarre or fantastic in shape, appearance, or character. Fantastic, bizarre.
Examples:
Have grotesque design. Grotesque appearance. The grotesque sculpture made me feel uneasy.
Dungeon.
A room or cell in which prisoners are held, especially underground.
Examples:
Medieval dungeon. A murky dungeon. The prisoner has been languishing for years in the castle dungeon.
Ordinary.
Not different, exceptional, or unexpected in any way, especially in quality, ability, size, or degree.
Examples:
An ordinary school. Ordinary annual revenue. The ordinary session of the Diet opened.
Extortion.
The act of obtaining something, often money, through force, threats, or coercion.
Examples:
Extortion letter. Extortion scheme. In this era of cybercrime, digital extortion is becoming increasingly common, with hackers demanding ransoms to unlock encrypted files.
Scheme.
An organized and often large-scale plan or arrangement for doing something.
Examples:
A pilot scheme. Draw out a scheme. They carefully executed the well-planned scheme they had prepared over the years.
Policy.
A set of rules, guidelines, principles, or procedures that govern decision-making or action, often used in the context of business or government. A course of action or plan of action adopted or followed by an organization or individual to achieve a goal or objective.
Examples:
Health policy, foreign policy. The company's new policy on remote work has made it a more inclusive workplace.
Poverty.
The condition of being extremely poor.
Examples:
Poverty alleviation. The cycle of poverty. Many studies have investigated the relationship between poverty and academic achievement. Context. The circumstances, facts, or conditions that surround a particular event, situation, or statement and that give it meaning. Examples: Historical context. Legal context. It's important to understand the context of a situation before making a decision. Visible. Capable of being seen, or open to easy view. Examples: Visible stars. Visible by X-ray. My home is easily visible from the shore. Bail. The temporary release of an accused person awaiting trial in exchange for a monetary deposit to ensure their appearance in court. Examples: Accept bail. He was released on bail. The judge set bail at $20,000. Pending. Awaiting a decision or resolution, yet to be resolved. Examples: Pending approval. Patent pending. I had a pending transaction on my credit card. Flee. To leave by running away, especially out of fear or danger. Examples: Flee their homes. Flee abroad. It is a basic instinct to flee from a dangerous situation. Pose. To present a risk, problem, or other issues that must be addressed. Examples: Pose a significant threat to my company. Pose a challenge. The chemicals pose a massive health risk. Immediately. Now or without delay. Examples: Immediately recall a product. Write him an answer immediately. A suspension order from the court is effective immediately. Bland. Lacking in strong flavor, character, or interest, unremarkable or unexciting. Examples: Make a bland reply. Bland novel. The dinner was rather bland and in need of some seasoning. Criminal. A person who has committed a crime. Examples: Wanted criminal. Criminal investigation. The police are searching for the criminal who stole the jewels.
Statistics.
The discipline that concerns the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data.
Examples.
Statistics for cancer. Official statistics. The statistics demonstrate that poverty and unemployment are genuine problems.
Pre-trial.
Referring to a period before a criminal trial, usually used for legal proceedings or investigations that take place during this time.
Examples.
Pretrial conference. Pretrial detention. The pretrial hearings will begin next week to determine if there is enough evidence to go to trial.
Convict.
To prove or declare someone to be guilty of a crime. Noun, a person serving a sentence in a jail or prison.
Examples.
Convict him of manslaughter. Convict in a jail. He was convicted on fraud charges and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Plead.
To make a serious and urgent request or appeal, especially for help or mercy.
Examples.
Plead for mercy. Plead a political cause. He pleaded with the authorities to release his son, who had been wrongly accused.
Guilty.
Feeling responsible for or having done something wrong or criminal.
Examples.
Feel a bit guilty. Guilty verdict. After much contemplation, the suspect decided to plead guilty to the theft charge.
Offense.
An illegal act, a feeling of anger caused by a perceived insult to or disregard for oneself, the action of attacking an enemy.
Examples.
Minor traffic offenses. A first offense. Parental indifference to their children leads to juvenile offenses.
Allegation.
An assertion or claim that is made without proof or evidence, a statement that someone has done something wrong or illegal, but which has not been proven in a court of law.
Examples.
Baseless allegations. Allegation of corruption. The allegation of fraud against the politician damaged his reputation.
Guarantee.
To promise something will happen formally, especially that certain conditions about a product, service, or transaction would be met.
Examples.
Guarantee a high quality. Guarantee women equality. We cannot guarantee enough raw material sources.
Horrible.
Extremely unpleasant or bad, causing fear or disgust.
Examples.
Horrible accident. Horrible smell. The experience was horrible and left a lasting impression.
Prosecutor.
A lawyer or official who conducts legal proceedings against someone accused of a crime, a person who brings a criminal case to court on behalf of the state or government.
Examples:
A public prosecutor, deputy prosecutor. The prosecutor's opening statement set the tone for the entire trial.
Plea.
An appeal or request, especially for help or understanding, a legal excuse or defense, an earnest entreaty or supplication.
Examples:
Plea bargaining, emotional plea. The defendant entered a plea of not guilty during his trial.
Inspiration.
Something that motivates or encourages someone to create or achieve something, or a feeling of excitement or creativity.
Examples:
Source of inspiration. Get inspiration from nature. He found inspiration in the works of his favorite authors.
Sect.
A group of people who follow a particular religious or philosophical belief system, especially one that is regarded as outside the norm or mainstream.
Examples:
Sect beliefs. Secret sect. The minority sect believed in a set of unconventional religious practices.
Depress.
To make someone feel sad, low in spirits, or without hope, to make markets, businesses, etc., less active.
Examples:
Depress their spirits. Depress crop prices. The economic recession depressed the housing market.
Alternative.
One of two or more available possibilities or choice.
Examples:
An alternative plan. There is no other alternative. Doctors are gradually coming around to the idea of using alternative medicines.
Belong.
To be the property of someone or something, to be a member or part of a group, to be in the proper or appropriate place.
Examples:
Belong to different species. Belong to a group. All the books in this section belong to the library's rare collection and must be handled carefully.
Exciting.
Causing a lot of interest or excitement.
Examples:
Exciting football player. Exciting news. The findings of the experiment were both exciting and unexpected.
Sterile.
Free from living microorganisms, especially bacteria, fungi, and viruses, incapable of reproducing.
Examples:
Sterile environment. A sterile man. Surgeons must use sterile instruments to prevent infection during an operation.
Mass.
A large amount of a substance with no definite shape or form, a large number of people or things grouped or crowded together.
Examples:
A mass of molten rock. Critical mass. The mass of people who do not own property is politically impotent.
Incarceration.
The state of being confined in prison or jail.
Examples:
Mass incarceration. Incarceration rates. The judge sentenced him to 5 years of incarceration for embezzlement.
Nonviolence.
The use of peaceful means, such as civil disobedience or passive resistance, rather than violence to achieve a goal, especially in the context of political or social change.
Examples:
Nonviolence movement. Nonviolence protest. Martin Luther King Jr. was a champion of nonviolence in the fight for civil rights.
Offend.
To cause someone to feel upset, angry, or annoyed.
Examples:
Offend his sensibilities. Offend a customer. His rude comments offended many people at the party.
Commit.
To do something illegal or wrong.
Examples:
Commit suicide. Commit mistakes. The military has committed an abuse of human rights.
Undo.
To reverse the effect of an action or event, typically one that is recent or specific.
Examples:
Undo changes. Undo a belt. I accidentally deleted the file, so can you undo that action?
Refer.
To direct someone's attention, thoughts, or questions to another source or person, to mention, cite, or allude to something as evidence or support.
Examples:
Refer to a book. Refer to a map. Please refer to the instruction manual for further assistance.
Fundamental.
Forming an essential base or core from which everything else develops or is affected.
Examples:
Fundamental education. Fundamental rights. Human behavior has fundamental characteristics.
Reform.
The act of improving or correcting something wrong or bad. Verb, to make a change in something to correct a flaw or improve it.
Examples:
Economic reform. Reform movement. The government is proposing a reform to the healthcare system to make it more accessible and affordable for all citizens.
Replace.
To take the place of something.
Examples:
Replace one word with another. Replace a phone. Eventually, the new design will replace all older models.
Pun.
A humorous play on words or use of words that sound similar but have different meanings, often for a comedic effect, a form of wordplay.
Examples:
Witty pun. Silly pun. The comedian's pun had the audience laughing out loud.
Margin.
The space around the edge of a page or document. Finance, the net sales minus the cost of goods and services sold.
Examples:
margin error, a profit margin. Unfortunately, the book's margin was too small to make notes.
Shift.
A slight transition in position, direction, or trend.
Examples:
Doppler shift, major paradigm shift. Could you help me shift some furniture?